There we go. There's a lighting in there. Okay. All right. I think first time on YouTube. You got the legs positioned? Okay. We're good. Okay. All right. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to our first Libre Fitness Live of 2024. We're excited. Woo! My name is Donovan. I'm a trainer, gym owner here at Libre Fitness Nation, master trainer for Libre Fitness, and buddy with this guy. Okay, you know who this guy is? This is Mark Libre.
What's up, guys? Welcome to our first YouTube Live. We're excited. This is going to be a full hour with a ton of content. So stay tuned. And yeah, what do you want to talk about first, Keith?
Well, first thing I want to talk about is, since this is the first time we're on YouTube, okay, make sure you subscribe, okay? Push that subscribe button, okay? And push that button for notifications. This is all new things for me for YouTube, okay? So make sure, halfway through and near the end, I'm gonna remind you to do that, okay? This is our first one, we're very excited about it. Okay, so.
We'll be doing this regularly. Also, you know, leave some comments. We're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, so the first one is we're talking about enhanced body weight training and why everybody should be taking advantage of that. So what do we mean by enhanced body weight training? I know that Libre Fitness, we are the king or the originators of the body weight training with the Libre Equalizer. What do we mean by enhanced body weight training?
Yeah, so, you know, so here's the thing. Body weight training is so accessible. It's so, anybody can start body weight training, right? You don't need any equipment. We have equipment, you don't need any equipment, right? For years in martial arts, did we have any equipment?
No.
No, you threw punches, you threw kicks, you did sit-ups, you did push-ups. Military does all kinds of calisthenics and body weight training without any equipment. So we are a big fan of learning how to use your body first before any external loading, or at least learn how to do both. And using your body will develop some spatial awareness, it'll develop coordination, it'll work your core, it'll work every single muscle. There's just so many reasons to do body weight training.
Of course, yeah. Well, even when we do our lives, I always bring up the reason why you originally created Equalizer. So break it down.
Well, it was to fill a little bit of a gap in body weight training. So even though we love it, there are some limitations. And that one limitation was to get underneath and do a row. We can do a lot of quad dominant exercises like squats and lunges. We can do a lot of pressing movements like push-ups and dips. But if you want to row, you can't just lie and grab nothing. So
and they were limited. And I think back in the day, all they had were those things that you would hang on the doorway.
Right.
To do your pull-ups, and most people can't even do that, right?
Most people can't, probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
So, actually, you know, one of my clients wanted to be able to do chin-ups on her husband's bar in the door, and I started training with her in home. And I said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to buy you a lat pull-down machine. She didn't want to spend the money and take up the space in her little training area. So that's kind of where I just came up with the epiphany.
And that's it. And you look at what it's turned into, you know. So we have the Equalizer, we have the XLs, double XLs,
Parallettes.
we have the Parallettes, and so many other pieces of equipment that we use on a regular basis here, and that you should use on a regular basis. So part of this series, again, enhanced body weight training. It's a 3-part series, and today we're going to focus on upper body training. Yep.
And if I could just backtrack for a bit. So enhanced body weight training specialists is what we are branding ourselves as now, because again, we love body weight, but to fill in some of those gaps, to add more variety, to add some interest, to progress a lot of the exercises, and even using some of the tools for regressions. We're enhancing body weight, and we're super happy to actually move into this next chapter and really start to promote and extol the virtues of this.
Well, it's kind of amazing because it's just really, we're coining that term, but have been doing this for years.
Technically, we've been enhanced body weight specialists.
You know what I'm saying?
For 20 years.
So, 100%.
Well, it's just we got a good marketing guy. It's a David guy.
All right. Okay. So I think we are good to get started.
Yes.
Okay. So again, Make sure, okay, first subscribe. And remember, this is a 3-part series, okay? So, you know, we're gonna give you the upper body next week. Next month, we have the lower body, and then we have the putting them together in a multi, if I remember correctly, right? Yes, so let's get started with the warm-up first.
Right, cool.
Okay? Mark will take us through and break it down.
So we're gonna start with our bands, our resistance bands. They come in a bunch of different strengths. So this is actually one of the easier ones. This is our red band. And I've been doing these exercises every day for the last year. My shoulders have never felt better and stronger, and it's actually really helped me with not just mobility and aches and pains, but to really strengthen myself for attempting some of the calisthenics moves like planches and front levers. So we're going to get in our athletic stance. All right, these do what you guys. How do you do?
No, I can't. Just for sure. Okay.
Okay.
The tension is too much on this.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do a pull apart. We're bringing our elbows, trying to touch our elbows behind us, so it's not a tricep exercise. I'm squeezing back as far as I can and getting that band up against the chest. So what I like to do is about 25 reps, and then I go right into the next exercise with the unfortunate name of shoulder dislocates. We can call it shoulder circles, okay? So don't arch your back. Keep that core locked down, and just working on that shoulder mobility. Some people won't be able to go all the way around, so you can just go up to the top and get a little bit of an overhead stretch. So we go all the way around for 10 reps, and then we go into our side bend. So we're really going to open up, stretch out the lats, and across the rib cage, and just back and forth, nice and gently. This one's really easy to overstretch, so just take your time with these. And one more. And if you want a little extra tension, just pull down and get that arm overhead to go a little further.
Yeah. And just to add on to the dislocators, this is something that we do on a regular basis when we teach our classes here with our clients, our personal training clients and so forth. Just the amount of benefit your shoulder gets from just that movement. And you know how many people have like frozen shoulders and things like that. And you add this into your regular mobility training, and you see a huge difference. And I noticed it myself, and I didn't have a lot of issues. So.
And for those people that don't have any issues, this is why we want to do these now.
Exactly.
So that you can keep it that way. Okay. Last one, really simple. I don't even need the band. I'm just going to hinge at the hips with one foot out in front. And I'm just going to march that out. And just working on the hinge pattern, even though it kind of looks like the easiest pattern, can be one of the toughest one for people to get. So we're just going to get a little bit of stretch in the back of the legs and just fire up all through that posterior chain. So a little bit of calves, a little bit of hamstrings, all the way up through the glutes.
So what exercise is the hardest to teach people?
Oh, yeah. That's a good question. It's basically this.
Yeah.
This exercise, you knew right away. I think it's crazy because you see like 100 different variations of it, and for whatever reason, people just can't seem to connect that pattern. So they'll squat or they'll round their back is the two biggest ones.
Exactly, and that hinges. I guess a lot of times, a lot of our clientele also, they refuse to stick the butt out.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing for them to do, but they hinge back. We have to deal with that.
When you have a booty like mine, you have no problem, you know.
Yes, hockey.
Okay, so the band, do about 5 rounds of those, okay? And then we're gonna go into our equalizer warm-up. So there's a bunch of different things we can do with equalizer warm-up. I like to keep it really simple. Let's get the shoulders warm. And if you do this on a single leg, whenever you add balance to your warm-up, you are going to get warmed up way quicker. You can already feel the ankle, the calf. You got the ankle, knee, and hip joints working. I got a little bit of core because my leg is up. And of course, the shoulders. And
Are we adding any tension to this, to the arms, or no? We're just warming up with it?
We're just warming up with it, yeah. So we're just going up and down, full range of motion, that we can get the other leg. We're not going to do all the reps for you guys because we have lots and lots of great stuff to show you. So we'll just do 3 more, 2, and 1, okay? 2 more for the legs. I'm going to show you one down that we don't have written down because this is one of my favorites.
Okay.
So we put the equalizer in this position here. So a nice big smile, big happy face. And we're gonna squeeze in, okay? And, oh, sorry, my bad. We're not frowning.
We're rounding up?
No, this is the golden arches of health right here. So we're gonna squeeze in, okay, and come down into a squat. Okay, squeeze in, and then when we come up, we're gonna pull apart. Okay, squeeze in, pull apart. Nice. Squeeze in, pull apart. So we're getting our chest, our shoulders, and then the back of the shoulders on the way up. So we're preparing for our push-ups and our equalizer rows, and at the same time getting our squats. So that's one that I love.
Oh, yes, nice.
Okay, and then we'll work on some agility. Come back here a bit just to show you. When you first start moving through agility drills, keep it simple. Always walk. I'll come this way, Vicky. Always walk before you run. Okay, walk through, pick your knees up, stay on the balls of your feet, move your arms. Yeah, this is. So when I used to teach at conferences all the time, we used to set up agility drills for the trainers, all the way through the equalizers. I used to always say about one of the first times Don saw me on doing agility drills, because I didn't grow up playing football, he goes, dude, it's not river dance. Move your arms. And he used to say that with my dancing too. Then we can break it up into a light jog. Okay? Obviously, the way the equalizers are positioned, they actually make you lift your legs, which is great. And to make it a bit easier, if you can't do it up here, come down here. Or even just do a triangle. Right? So we're still lifting up, but we don't have to get our legs up as high. And we can just change up the patterns depending on the goal, depending on the climb. So those are equalizer warm-ups.
Boom. Okay. We just have those two for the warm-up?
Yep, 3. I added squats.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, again, let's continue. Make sure you push that subscribe button. Okay. So we'll move on to EQ compound exercises. Okay. First one we have is our incline press.
Okay. So when you're about to do an equalizer incline chest press, we're going to put the equalizers in a V-shaped position. Okay. So they're touching at the top and they're open at the bottom. What that does is it actually puts my elbows in the exact position I want them, which is about 15, 20 degrees off the rib cage, right? If I have them here, not good. So we're in the V-shaped position. My hands are going on the outside edge because ergonomically it just feels really good. And now I'm coming down into my push-up, core tight, pressing the equalizers and my chest, my hands towards center. So stretch and squeeze, stretch and squeeze. Okay?
So why don't we just do push-ups from the ground then?
That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked.
Why is this better?
So for a lot of reasons it's better. Now, a lot of people on the ground, we can use equalizers on the ground for push-ups like this, which we will show you, which takes a lot of the pressure off the wrist. But for most people starting out, quite often, they're just not strong enough. So this incline chest press, even though it's technically a decline press, but we're calling it incline based on the position of the body, takes away from the difficulty so that you can get a full range of motion. So most of the reason people don't get good at push-ups is because they do, oh, hell no, I'm not going down there. And then you can also, of course, do knee push-ups, which is a great regression, but this works really well too. Sometimes on Instagram and other places I see people doing wall push-ups, they really don't like it. Usually the shoulders go down like this, the elbows are up too high, and also you just bash your head into the wall.
Like that. That doesn't make sense. It's not a proper alignment for push-up regardless anyways, right?
So this is a great way to start getting really good at push-ups. And like I say all the time when I teach equalizers and courses, my favorite progression is volume. So pick where you're at, pick an exercise where you're comfortable, but challenging yourself a little bit, and then do 3 sets, 4 sets, 5 sets, 6 sets. Really get some volume in there before you go into something a little more difficult. Okay, now you can make this easier. Okay, so from this position here, let's say I get down to here and I'm like, oh shoot, now what? Put a foot in front, press out. So this is what we call self-spotting. Down, slow and control, the eccentric portion, and a foot in front. So now I have some weight on my leg. I can still feel the full range of the push-up, but I'm self-spotting.
And you'll be sort of next day. Eccentric motion, that negative really has an effect.
It really does,
on the
yeah.
muscles, right? So.
Yeah. And I think people, when they start to do exercises properly, they're so sore the next day because they've done a full range of motion,
Yeah.
right? If I'm just on the floor and I'm doing this, I'm never going to feel it as if I'm doing this.
And you know how many people I know who, for example, will make them do push-ups using the bar at this angle in incline position, and they're like, well, I do tons of push-ups and this is going to be easy. By the time, because of the volume, by the time you get to that next set, like if I make you do 20, 25 of these, and by the time you get to that next set, you're like, yeah, these are seasoned veterans of push-ups, right? So I love the fact that the change,
Right.
that the options and the variations that you can do using the equalizer.
It's the volume,
Yeah.
it's the range of motion. Sometimes when their hands are elevated, they're getting a little deeper stretch, and it's also just changing things up on them a little bit. So yeah, it's good.
Perfect.
I agree. I mean, I have no problem at all if I don't feel like, let's say I'm having a day where it's a little more of a recovery day and I don't want to just torture myself. I have no problem just going ahead, keeping everything nice and tight. So you notice when I'm doing these, I'm tightening up my abs, okay? So a couple things when you're doing core is all the time I see people, they just have that sway back. Abs have to be tight because that puts the pressure on my chest, right? If I'm here, my abs aren't tight, I'm just kind of, but look at the difference. Boom, yeah, yeah.
Boom!
It's a totally different feel, right? It's night and day. Just focusing on that form and volume. So I don't mind sometimes regressing and then adding more reps and really feeling it the next day. So it's also good for the joints, higher volume, lots of blood flow, good for the tendons and ligaments. I don't always have to go heavy. And as you can see from Don and I, we don't lift a ton. Body weight and boxing and some free weights.
Yep.
And we look, I think, decent.
Well, for age.
Yeah.
You know, he's 50-something, I'm 60-something. Look how good it is. But anyways, just before we move on to the next one, yeah, so in regards to even the wrist, you'll have a lot of clients and so forth complaining about their wrists from doing push-ups and stuff like that. And this is the key to avoid that, because not only are you not putting your wrist in that position, you're actually strengthening your wrist at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
anybody who had issues, they come back within a couple of weeks, you're like, you know what, I don't feel it anymore. I go, yes, anytime you do a push-up, this is what you're doing a push-up with.
And that's good. I'm glad you said that, because two things here. So I'm on the outside edge. I have my wrist in a nice neutral alignment, but also when you're doing an exercise, grip. Really strengthen your grip. Squeeze hard. You're going to feel stronger when you squeeze hard. And as a matter of fact, your scapula, when you grab something, actually contracts. So you not only feel stronger, you are stronger by gripping something for your push-ups. And we showed you the regression down, come out, self-spotting, but you could also progress it by going single leg, so I'm adding some balance. Then I'm going to my knee, so Spider-Man, and a knee drive. That one looks pretty easy, but that one is tough. So like Don said with his clients that are used to push-ups and around, they do these, add some knee drives, cooked.
And if that's still too easy, then you move down.
Right, come right down to the ground.
So from there.
And again, those same things apply, okay? You can, a little bit more challenging, but you still get that range of motion. You still get it all the way down.
Nice, good stretch and push through. Right?
Providing there's no biomechanical limitations, you got people as you're down, you're getting a nice deep stretch. And not only that, on the bottom of the movement, right? So I got that deep stretch. I'm going to think about breaking the bars, squeezing towards center, because what does your chest muscles do, right? They drive your arms towards center. A lot of people think push-ups are pushing, but it's actually a pulling motion. Your arms are being pulled towards center. So like Don did down here, I get down into the bottom of the movement, get my stretch, and then I squeeze. I squeeze all the way to the top too, and keep that squeeze on, then stretch, then squeeze. when people say they can do 50, 60 push-ups in a row, I guarantee you,
Yeah, you're not these.
not too many. Yeah. Okay. All right. Go on all day about push-ups.
Well, we're not, because we're gonna move on to the inverted rows. Okay? So what these were invented for, okay? Inverted rows, so let's break it down.
Okay, again, V-shaped position, okay? So we're gonna be touching here, we're open here about 6 inches, drop down, get my hockey butt in there, and we're gonna put my head back, feet flat, knees up. A lot of people, when they first start rows, they wanna go here. This is a progression. We're gonna start here, head back, hips up, drive our elbows into the floor, and get as high as you can. Again, can I do straight leg ones? Yes. Do I need to? Not always. Sometimes just a lot of sets and a lot of reps.
So what happens if I can't come up, bring my chest all the way to the top like that?
Yep, then you can do, so there's one regression that we teach for the rows, and you can spot your clients and stuff like that. The one regression is feet flat, knees bent, hips up, so I'm bridging. For a lot of new clients, even just bridging is tough. And they're just going to do a little bit of a scap retraction. They can break in between just a little bit of time, strengthening their grip, their forearms, their biceps, and the back of the shoulder blades.
So you know how many clients, we were down there anyway, start off just doing that, and then before you know it, they're all the way up. Like, it's amazing watching the members.
It is.
This is where they just started out, and now they're here. So,
Yeah, one of the things we love to do here at the gym, we're in Toronto, by the way, so Libre Fitness Nation is like, we're a nation of so many different fitness levels and personalities, and what we love to do is just really leave the egos at the door. So let's show you the regression, own that regression, and before you know it, you're lighter and stronger.
Yeah.
So now you're going all the way up.
100%.
Cool, you want to keep going on the rows for a bit?
Well, just a few different variations of it.
All right, cool.
So I'm thinking, like, in regards to positioning, okay, what makes it stand out from anything else? You can actually adjust the grips and so forth that you wouldn't necessarily get on anything else, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this is our standard setup with the V-shaped position and our knees bent, feet flat, and we're just doing our regular row. Okay, so I could easily change it by, like I mentioned before, straight legs, which is going to change the line of pull and shorten the range of motion. But you can see, I can do about 10 perfect of these.
It's a lot harder.
Yeah, it's a lot harder, and I can do 30 of the others. So I'm typically speaking 3 times harder. Look at where my knees are, guys. We're not doing this. Always a slight bend in the knees, hips up. So now I'm working the back of my legs, my hamstrings, and my rows.
So Mark, why aren't you pulling it in? Why is it not being pulled in like that?
Well, because a row is basically I'm trying to drive my elbows down into the floor, so I'm not pulling this way. Okay. Now, if you want to get really funky, I suppose you could try to squeeze it in or squeeze it, but it's not really the exercise. Pressing towards center, pushing like Don said, is more of a chest exercise, and pulling back is how we work the back. So.
Exactly. And kind of the point I was trying to get at is that anybody who says that this is not stable, then that means you're actually not pulling properly, okay? You're supposed to be pulling straight down, pushing through to the elbows. If you find the bars going this way, then that's all that means is you're pulling in this way, and that's not how you're supposed to do the movement.
Right, and it's such a good point because we didn't really cover in the beginning my design philosophy with the equalizers. What I wanted the equalizers, I wanted them to move a little bit so they're not just a training tool, they're a teaching tool. So that's a teaching moment for the client and for the trainer. Like, okay, they're doing that. It's because you're shaking or you're pressing in as opposed to pressing down. So yeah, instant, immediate biofeedback.
Yes.
Okay, so as Don asked earlier, or was mentioning earlier about how they can move around, I can easily take the equalizers, change up this grip here, and you can see now I'm doing, I'm doing a bicep row.
It looks tough, right?
And then I can take the equalizers and I can go a single bar and I do 1 arm at a time. Or I can work 1 arm and work on some rotation. So I can go a muscle up, an equalizer muscle up. So really,
Advanced.
very advanced. And everything that we do with 2 equalizers, we can do with 1. So I can get under 1 equalizer and do all my rows as well. I can do supinator, overhand grip, sports grip. So it's really quite endless.
And then that's why we also have the different sizes. We have the XL and we have the double XL. So you can see the height difference in the XL versus the double XL. So the XL is still the same width, but it is about 2 inches.
Yeah, I think it's 3 inches taller.
taller. Okay, for somebody who has longer arms, allows you to go full range and pull up. And then we have the double XL, which is wider if you have broader shoulders and you feel it's tight to get in there. So,
Right.
and it's also still taller,
Yeah.
double XL, yeah.
And I'll show you a really quick hack. So if you have equalizers or original height, and you feel like you can't really fit them in between the one bar, right? So you feel like you're kind of stuck in there. Just give a little twist, one hand over, one hand behind, so this elbow's here. And now I have tons of room.
That is my favorite.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the sports grip.
Yeah, so we have there's a wide grip here and tight, and you just rotate that way, right? So.
And yeah, and really the only reason that we have the tall equalizers, I mean, for people to get a bigger, more range of motion on their dips and rows.
Yeah.
So for some people, if that's their kind of primary go-to exercises, yes, get the XLs if you need a bit more height. Don's 6'2", I'm 6'1". XLs are technically better for us, but in class, if I was going to do a standing tricep extension, I think I'd rather have the XL because this is harder because of the angle, right? So I'm going much lower angle. Same with this one, right? Just the ones we showed you here. This, on the regular equalizers, the original height is a little bit harder based on the angle that I'm at. So it doesn't mean one's better than the other. And for some exercises, these are actually more challenging.
Or just buy them both, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, get both. I like that idea.
So there you go, makes sense to me.
So I just want to cover something really quick.
Yeah.
So for triceps, sometimes people are like, well, I don't have quite the full range of motion on dips. Well, I have almost a full range of motion on this one, but let's say I'm missing like an inch. I could go a little deeper. Whatever. Just rep it up first with some of these. So I pre-exhaust. Let's say with my my standing tricep extensions.
Killer.
Right into dips. Do I need that extra inch? Nah, I'll be done anyway. So
I like it, but that's just me. I have a pair of regular and the XL, but this is primarily for the dips.
Yeah.
So I prefer
Yeah.
so that my knees don't come hitting the ground there.
Yeah.
Like I can also I can change my angle
For
to
sure.
make it work, and I've done it for years.
Yeah.
But it's just if you have a choice, you have an option. Then
That's all I'm saying.
right?
Is sometimes you can make it work. You can always make it work.
100%.
I don't want this to be controversial.
Hey, let's see. All right, let's moving on. We're moving on to next. We have the running man.
Running man. Okay, so this is a whole course in itself, but let's cover a couple things really quickly. One, this is a teaching tool. If they go out like that, that means you're not doing this. So my design philosophy is that we're pressing down and in when we're holding ourselves up. Hands are in the middle on the foam pads, and we're holding ourselves up. Now, second part of this is almost everybody, unless they have a really long experience with gymnastics, strength training, they're young and strong.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of people starting out, they can't hold their whole body weight up. As soon as they get out, they're like, it's just probably not where you want to start. So press down and in. Okay, 1 foot on the ground. I'm squeezing. My knee up and squeezing down and in. So I have a lot going on there. I could just go like this. No, press down and in, up. And even though this is a regression, sometimes that core compression for a long period of time can be a real tough thing for people in class that can do this, right? Sometimes we'll just bring it back and really work on that first step, okay? So we can regress and progress. A regression can be a progression. Lots of different ways to skin a cat.
Okay, you didn't demonstrate it.
Oh yeah. Maybe I'm just.
You showed it a little bit. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just killing time because I don't want to. So the running.
This is not easy.
It's not easy. The running man or core run, when people first do it, okay, so I'm pressing down in, they go like this, Fred Flintstone. Okay? Yeah, that's good. You're holding yourself up, but look at how Don's doing. Up, knees up as high as he can, and reaching out, right? Woo! almost always a limiting factor for this is holding yourself up. That's really hard.
But I feel it in the core.
It's a lot of core.
Yeah.
Boy, does it hit hard, real fast. If I come up to here, all hip flexors, as soon as I go past there, the higher my knee goes, the more my core, okay? Reaching out, obviously, I have a longer lever. So up, I reach out. If I go fast, it's easier. If I go slow, it's harder. Wow. It really doesn't take many, and it's a great exercise. See, a lot of times when we're on the floor for our core, it's the ground up, so we're working the lower abs up. This is the opposite. This is all the way, it's upper abs and hardly hit the lower abs. This is lower abs up, and that's really key for a stronger core. Excellent exercise.
Yeah. No, and you think about that movement, so you're engaging your core, okay? Look at the upper body. How much work's being done? Like, you know, I'm about efficiency, right? So I like to do exercises that I'm gonna get the most out of it in a short period of time, right? So anything that can target a ton of muscles, get that heart rate up, that's what I'm looking for.
I just want to add something to that because that exercise is so effective and efficient. People are sleeping on bodyweight training. I really believe that. When I go to conferences and I'm teaching to trainers who are very strong and very good at what they do, and then after the session, they're like, oh my God, I'm so incorporating that into my workouts now.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be your whole workout, but boy, oh boy, don't sleep on bodyweight.
The ultimate tool, and this is the ultimate tool. So now we're doing our legs, hamstrings.
Legs, hamstrings. Oh yeah. Okay. Give that one to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so hamstrings, we want to have the back of our shoe on the foam pad. Okay. Our feet dorsiflex, not completely, and the equalizer close enough so that I can reach it. I just noticed on camera, this is the whitest legs in fitness, everyone.
I just looked at it on camera. I knew it was good.
So there's a bunch of different parts to this. Number one is you're going to come up and back down. So this is just like basic level. But what I like to make sure people do is they finish off and close that extension. So you're going to squeeze your glutes. And see the difference? Hamstrings, hamstrings, and glutes. Hamstrings, hamstrings, and glutes. Just that little tweak, and I'm feeling that. Then we add a third part with this big, wicked, beautiful stretch. So hamstrings, glutes, stretch, pull back in, down. Hamstrings, glutes, stretch, and back and down.
And so that's to get to that height. Okay, again, that's progression. Not everybody has that range of motion. Not everybody has that strength to go all the way up like that. And he invented it, so obviously I can't even go that far. Okay, but I do try every day to go a little bit farther. But it's one of those exercises that you love to hate is probably the term. Yeah, I add them into class on a regular basis. I make my clients use it on a regular basis. I myself, I know I feel it every time, and that's why I kind of don't love it so much. But I do it almost 3 times a week, okay? And I'm getting better at it all the time. Okay.
And what I really like about that is it's not just using the hamstrings for a hinge, it's also using them for a curl, because on the way back, I'm pressing down and curling in. So I get the 2 actions of the hamstring muscles in one exercise. It's awesome.
All right. So again, we're excited to be here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, okay? And click that notification button if you're enjoying what you're hearing, okay? The 3-part series, okay? Enhanced bodyweight training, why this should be for you. Okay, so next we're gonna move on. If there's anything else you wanna add?
I want to show them one more leg exercise.
Okay, yeah.
So with legs, what I like to do, obviously you can do squats and lunges and stuff. We're gonna do a split squat. So the equalizer's here for balance if you need it. I'm gonna put my shoelaces on the foam pad. A lot of times when I see this exercise, I see people way too far away and they're just stretching out their hip flexion. So I'm gonna be fairly close and I'm gonna drop down. So I get a nice stretch in this back hip flexor. I'm on the ball of my foot and I'm going to come up and press through with my quad and my glutes. I got this for balance if I need it. And trust me, when you're working a single leg, 1 and 1 does not equal 2. It's 5 times harder.
Yeah.
I didn't show you too many reps, but if I did 25 reps on each side, I'm good. 3 rounds,
But
That's
you're
it.
talking about a total leg exercise.
Yeah.
Your quads are engaging, your glutes,
Yeah.
your hamstring,
Yeah.
your core.
Core, getting the bounce.
Yeah, so that
And you can add core to it. You can do simple little things like this, right? So I'm gonna, again, utilize the straight ankles, come down, do a nice stretch, up, out.
Now that is extremely challenging, okay? Because the control he has to be able to control that and pull it back. All right.
Talk about challenge.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to the parallettes, otherwise known as the baby equalizers, right?
So early on, when I'm not a calisthenics or gymnastic guy, I'm just an old hockey player. And when I first started bringing equalizers to trade shows, somebody came to the booth once and said, "Oh, those look like tall parallettes." I'm like, "Oh yeah, they do." And then as they walked away, I Googled what the heck parallettes were. I didn't know. I guess I invented tall parallettes. So the equalizers shortened up, become really stable parallettes. And by the way, when you buy our stuff, I mean, it's made of steel, it's powder coated, everything's quality, it'll just last forever. So I think we're starting with push-ups, right?
Yeah, so we kind of touched on them before we used the equalizer for when it's on the ground, but I guess you can break
This is
down.
great. I'll break it.
And I'll tell you a little bit why I love using the parallettes for push-ups also. Go ahead.
Okay, so when I first started hanging out with calisthenics guys and watching them do push-ups, one of the things that they really harped on with me is, well, a bunch of things, but one was that hollow back position at the top. So before I was doing push-ups, pretty good on my stretch coming up to here, but now I'm coming up to here. I can really feel the full range of motion at the bottom and now at the top. That changed my push-up game. I'm telling you, even if I jump on the weights once in a while, I'm just freaking strong. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
No, it does transfer, like no doubt about it. Like oftentimes it doesn't go the opposite direction. So it just, if I can do some heavy flat dumbbell presses, is that going to translate into me doing great push-ups? Probably not.
Yeah.
But push-ups will definitely help
Really does,
with lifting the weight. So 100%.
Okay, so what I want to show you with the push-ups is time under tension, pauses, squeezes, and put the whole thing together, okay? So when people start doing push-ups, see where my hands are? I want them underneath. So I want to have hands stacked under my elbows and my shoulders. This is the top position. So I'm going to come down nice and slow, elbows just off the rib cage, core tight. Okay, pause, come up, hold. Down nice and slow. You notice I'm never, ever taking a break on any of this. I've done 2 reps and I'm already shaking. So I do like, go here. So a nice stretch with a pause, core tight, I'm the coach. Yeah, nice. We're gonna squeeze up and we're gonna really force that hollow back by squeezing the chest together even more at the top. So what we're trying to do is get the upper back rounded at the top. Come up and round, feel the chest. Whew. Beauty. Nice slow descent, pause, squeeze and round. Yes.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
Nuts, right?
So one of the things that kind of said I wanted to touch on is just the variations of push-ups I can do using the parallettes, right? So I can have my close grip, which if I want to engage my triceps in here, do like a tricep push-up. If I want to do a mixed position, I can. One grip.
Oh yeah.
I can push through. I want to do a push-up and a row, a lift up. That's what the parallettes allow you to do. Variety of options. Right? So,
Nice dismount.
and finish.
Natalie Comaneci.
Yeah.
That's what my age when I only know gymnasts from like the 80s. And one of the things, so Don showed that last move, right? So I'm going to go from my deep push up, core tight, come up, and now, does this weigh much? Not really, not at all. But what I'm doing is now I'm loading up a single arm. So that is changing up everything. So now I got to make sure I don't do this, make sure I don't do this. Everything has to be in position. So there's a lot going on. So when you're doing exercises that require, here's a perfect example. This is a big eye opener for me. I was out drinking with this guy one time, and he was an MMA guy. I did some martial arts and stuff, but I never did wrestling, right? So we decided to do some push-ups. But he said, during the push-ups, we're gonna try and knock each other over.
Okay, yeah.
In a bar, it was on the bar.
Yeah.
And we're on the ground just doing push-ups, and every time he touched me, I was like, whoa! But he's so used to it because he was a wrestler and a grappler and a jiu-jitsu guy. His push-ups were so much more stable than mine.
Yeah.
As soon as I got touched, but he could do it from a single arm. So I like the idea of that transition, that reach, that movement, not just for strengthening the shoulders from different angles, but even just for variety.
Yeah, no. I love it.
Shout out to Neil, by the way.
Okay, so let's go into leg raises.
Leg raise, oh yeah. Okay, so on this one, on equalizers, obviously, you're going to have a lot more range of motion. I like this one because it's a little more strict. So when I'm in this position, okay, so often when you're practicing all these moves, guys, think about pushing the parallettes or the equalizers into the ground, okay? Does Chuck Norris do push-ups? No, Chuck Norris moves the freaking earth. So that's what we're always thinking. As soon as I go here, I'm thinking about Chuck Norris's thing. Okay, knees out, and all I'm doing is practicing core compression, okay? Calisthenics and gymnasts, people always point their toes. You can do that or not, but we're working on getting the legs up there, squeezing, and sometimes the triceps fail first, sometimes the core fails first, but a really great regression to help you get stronger for something, for example, like a running man, or the core. Yeah.
Perfect.
So great exercise on the parallettes. And you want to go to tabletop?
Yes, let's do it.
So here's a kind of a thing that you can do with the parallel. After that, it's almost the same position. And I want to show you because I am horrible at it because my front delts are so tight. So we're doing a tabletop. Yeah, when you see most people do that, the hips will be way tighter. I'm squeezing my glutes, head back in line with the shoulders. And I have to tell you, the front of my shoulders are so tight that this is a challenge. A little bit of a break. I'm getting stronger and building in my mobility at the same time. I feel my glutes. I feel my hamstrings. Squeezing my glutes. Hamstrings are firing. Getting a nice stretch. And then I take a little break. So those are tabletops. Everything we do, especially me, especially with boxing, is flexion. We got to open up and work on extension.
100%. Like, actually, this is the first time I've seen you use it for this. So that's amazing because on a normal basis, at the end of classes, we go through our stretches and some mobility movement. And that's one of the things I do on the ground. But going forward, I will definitely add that.
It works really well on the parallettes.
Perfect. Okay.
Cool.
That's amazing. I think we're doing well. We're doing great.
So, what it really does, what Donovan said is, I'll take his class, he'll take mine, we learn from each other. If you're watching this, you're a trainer, get a class set of these, so you have enough for everybody that can do all the moves together. It's really fun as a standalone product. The parallettes, there's way more that you can do with them than you think.
Yeah.
Cool.
100%.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the hip system.
Oh boy.
Okay.
All right.
So we've got it set up here on Liber Fitness Nation. We have it all set up here on this side and the other side. We have different attachments that we put on. It just shows you that we use this on a daily basis for our classes, just part of the routine that we do here at Nation. So tell us a little bit about it.
So the HIT system, it looks a lot like a suspension trainer and gets confused as such. When I first came up with the idea many years ago, this was a black belt. And in class, what we do is we do a lot of partner training. So you grab the end of the belt, just so you don't need the handle, and we're going to do rows together. So I started taking exercises, strength training exercises with minimal equipment from martial arts into boot camps, okay? We would do a lot of stuff like this, resisted running. Don's a much better runner than I am, so resisted running, and we would do all these exercises, okay? So I had this idea to put some handles on the end of it, and now we have a really cool training tool. But the one thing we couldn't do, and the one thing I really wanted to do, was to make it much like, let's go this way just a bit, make it much like martial arts and have these unilateral motions, right? So this strap is going through the center ring. Most suspension trainers are characterized by high anchor point and bilateral movements. What we did was take a partner training tool, which in itself has a lot of variety, and now adding this wonderful, beautiful unilateral movement. Okay, so this is our hit system. Now, because these other suspension trainers are so popular, everybody just thought, I'm just gonna hook this up, and they weren't sure what to do with it. So we spent a lot of time educating people on the amazing repertoire that you can do with the hit system. But we're gonna show you a couple things in suspension mode. 3 modes: partner, okay, suspension, and unilateral movements. Just start the first one.
Yep, so the first one is jump press, okay?
Jump press, simple move, but you're coordinating the arms and the legs. You're gonna get down into a nice low squat, and as I come up, I'm gonna try to go and hold myself in the air. Okay, down. Woo! Now it helps a lot if you go because it actually does help a lot when you watch and do martial arts. You do want to breathe. It really just sounds like I have a slow leak. All right, so that's our tricep jump press. Absolutely love that one. If you want to add something that's highly metabolic, highly anaerobic, I'm just like,
Heart rate's up. I did 4 jumps.
heart rate through the roof. Okay, we're going to take it down into, what I really love too is I can hook this up anywhere. I can hook it up down to the ground and do curls. What we're going to do is at waist height, we are going to do swimmers. Most of the movements that we do here are a lot of flexion in the elbow. This particular one is going to hit right where the lats and triceps insert. We're going to hinge at the hips, and we're going to try to bring our arms back behind us as far as we can. Cool. Now, the tension is the harder I pull against one arm, going through the metal ring to the other arm, I basically am creating my own tension.
Yeah.
I'm, in a lot of ways, not just here, my own worst enemy.
So the first time, when you invented this the first time, and you're taking me through, so just so you know, I've been around from the beginning, okay? Always hiding in the background, okay? But when he first invented this, he tested it on me, and initially I was like, what is this that you're making me do? And at one point I got very upset while we were doing it, right? Because I realized that the resistance I was fighting against was me, right?
It's not my fault.
And I was like, this is the hardest thing I've ever experienced, left versus right, and it kind of dawned on it. So you can challenge yourself to whatever level you want, right?
It's funny that Don tells the story because when my first prototypes I tested in, we had a gym before this one, and there was a guy, Derek, and he wanted to really go hard. And the very first time I tested the prototype of this, he threw up in the bathroom. I'm like, oh wow, it does work. Okay, so Don's gonna row. Now, he's creating the tension himself, but what's really cool is if I wanted to, as a partner, I could do something as simple as squats, I could do reverse lunges, I could do a lateral lunge with some anti-rotation for the core on both sides. And at the end of the minute, we just
switch
roll
up.
this, switch it up.
Partner's turn.
And it's my turn. And then we work on our unilateral rows and whatever the exercise is there.
So what I love about the partner assisted stuff is that it forces, usually when you do partner stuff, sometimes you have that partner sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah.
So you're both working. And one of the things that you do, so while you're rowing, it forces me to maintain that tension for you.
Yeah.
So even if I squat, okay, I can't take a break. I have to make sure that you have tension during that movement, right?
And you notice his posture and that he's holding it nice and still, so he's working his whole backside, working his legs. We're connected, so he's like, this is an umbilical cord to sweaty reality.
Wow, I've never heard that before. But I love it. Perfect.
So that is our HIT system.
Right, just one of a ton of exercises that you can do with it. At home, the attachment, you can attach to the bottom of your door, you can attach to the top. We have an attachment, a Velcro attachment that can be hooked onto anything, so bring it with you. I tell people this all the time. Bring this on vacation, okay? There's no point, it doesn't make any sense not bringing it with you. It doesn't take hardly any space in your suitcase, and you have a tool that you can use and take. Awesome, right? So.
And just really quick with regards to these tools, if you're watching this, you're like, this is cool, I would like to learn more, hit us up at Libre Fitness, and we'll set up an education, because it's really a lot of fun. We're all hands-on, we have a group of trainers, we do a 4-hour course, maybe with all the products, and get you guys knowledge up.
Okay, so 50 minutes, 55 minutes, this has been amazing. We went through it, went by like that. Part 1 of our 3-part series, enhanced body weight training, why you should be doing it, okay? So again, I'm Donovan, I'm your host, and for the live, I guess we'll be considered host for our monthly live, and this is the original, the creator, the inventor, okay, the Libre Fitness products here, and again, this is our first time on YouTube. Please, comments, say what you enjoyed, heck, say what you didn't enjoy, okay? But I do want you to subscribe and then click that notification button because we're excited about now being on YouTube, okay? All right?
Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
All right. Peace. Peace, peace, peace. Yes.
So did you hit, okay, let me.
So, we're good? Is that, yeah, we're good.